Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour, episode 157. Probably the last one I will be recording in 2025, in case something happens. I'm here today with the Everyman Reads, also known as Johnathon. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Everything's going fine, and I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. You started your YouTube channel not too long ago.
Yeah, about
Or
2 months ago, maybe. And it's been, YouTube makes it feel like super long time has passed, but it's only been like 2 months. So, you know,
not too
um,
long. Not too long.
yeah.
Yeah. You
And
mostly. Oh,
no, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say, yeah, you mostly cover. Well, you've been talking a lot about fantasy content. You've been doing fantasy content. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm kind of a fantasy fan, but I haven't read as much as everyone else has here, and I
Mm.
don't think I'm going to get to the major series for a little while, just because of the reading schedule I have, which is, I guess, kind of alternative. So
Yeah, you've been reading you've been reading a lot of old fantasy recently.
yeah, it's kind of all a big part of like this massive. I don't know if you've seen like the first video I did, but I kind of explained it there a little bit, and it's all just kind of this massive, great fantasy reading challenge, as I call it, where I'm kind of going from the beginning of the genre to kind of the modern day and reading it like in chronological order. Um, and so there's a lot of books to get to, and we're in like the year, I don't know, 1894 or something like that. And so we're just going year by year, book by book or whatever. And so it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. I actually was reading some pre-Tolkien fantasy novels myself this year. I read like the King of Elfland's Daughter and Blood in the
Right. Yeah.
Mist. Well, I guess this one book isn't particularly The Broken Sword by Paul Anderson. Though that came out the same
That
year as
exact same year. Yeah.
Fellowship
Yeah.
of the
I feel
Ring.
bad for
So
him, man.
I guess that didn't count. But I wanted to read that one because I thought it was a fun coincidence that it came out the
Mm.
same year as
Fellowship.
Fellowship.
Yeah.
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 Um.
I got him on there as well. He seems like pretty underrated author, to be honest. Just from what I've heard.
Yeah, I liked the Broken Sword. I thought it was a good book. Very interesting how it. I mean, I don't think it. I don't know if it's really a great idea to compare the two because I think they're both going for different things. It's a
Mm.
bit darker than Lord of the Rings. I'll just say that.
Once Fellowship comes out, you kind of have to split the genre a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
pre-Fellowship, post-Fellowship, because it kind of just becomes like the blueprint. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah,
Ilmatic of fantasy books.
yeah, and Blood in the Mist was also good too. I quite enjoyed that book.
Yeah, that one sounds pretty interesting actually as well. I'm
It's
looking
very
forward to that one.
British though, so I can see how that might annoy some people.
Man, I'm reading like Alice in Wonderland and like George MacDonald. I guess he's Scottish, but I'm reading very of the time works right now, and so anything that's kind of more modern is going to feel real refreshing after a while. So
Fair enough. I mean, I mean, a lot of good British fantasy out there.
yeah, for sure. Just read uh She by H. Rider Haggard, which is kind
Mm.
of more like adventure, like lane, like Treasure Island
I've
lane.
heard of him. I know of him because a comic I like, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was a movie a long time ago, which is kind of a guilty pleasure film of mine. Um,
Yeah.
Alan Quartermain, who's one of Rider Haggard's characters, is one of the characters in that series.
Yeah, it's honestly it's a surprisingly good book. Like, and I know he's kind of well respected, so I guess I shouldn't say surprising, but it's not very fantasy. It's very like old timey English, Victorian era. There's definitely some problematic things about it, but the actual villain of it, which I just made a video on, is like really astoundingly good, and was the influence for Galadriel, which I thought was really interesting because Tolkien typically you know, didn't really enjoy kind of more modern works. And I think later in life, he kind of said it
Yeah, I was about
wasn't
to
as
say,
good as he
yeah.
thought it was. But
I don't know if you watch Philip Chase, but I know he liked
yeah, yeah.
uh, Philip Chase and I have talked about this a little bit, and he mentioned he really liked William Morris.
Yeah, I'm reading William Morris right now for the thing. It's very interesting.
How's that going?
I
William Morris sounds like an interesting guy from what I've read about him.
He is like he's not even known for his fantasy books. That was the thing that I learned. Like his fantasy books is like a latter end thing of his career, but he's more known for the I think it's called the arts and crafts revolution of like the late 1800 or 1800s, yeah, where like he redefined like just I don't even know, man. I watched a video on it, but if you search up William Morris, which is what I did, it turns into a lecture series about the arts and crafts and not about fantasy. So very interesting guy into politics as well. And
Yeah,
his fantasy book though
yeah, he kind
is
of
very interesting.
yeah, he was kind of, if I remember right, he was kind of around when like romanticism was kind of coming back in style, really.
If you're looking for like I know I say like Fantasties is like the first fantasy book or whatever, but if you're looking for like what the DNA kind of comes from, I think William Morris would be the guy
Hmm.
because you know I'm reading it right now and clearly you can see this is a proto Tolkien proto just that like high ancient kind of speech that would be kind of dominating fantasy for a while. And so it's very interesting to see kind of like the skeleton, the genre, kind of in this one book that I'm reading.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, one of my challenges this year was to read a kind of some pre-Tolkien fantasy novels because I wanted to see what the fantasy genre looked like before Tolkien stepped in. And it was quite interesting because a lot of them were very much in that kind of like fairy tale kind of story.
A lot of dream
Particularly,
like portal fantasy sort of
yeah,
deal. Yeah,
particularly like
yeah.
King of Elfland's Daughter, which I didn't love, but I thought it had some interesting bits in it.
Hmm. Did you like the writing? Because I've heard that's kind of
I did, yeah.
his bread and butter.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like if the record is to be believed, apparently he wrote it in a single draft, and he was like, "Up, this is good. There you go,"
Damn, no
which is
editing. Wow,
nuts.
jeez,
Well, I'm sure he edited it a little bit, but I don't know.
that would be pretty crazy. But honestly, I can see it because the structure of how you write books back then was probably a lot different than it is now. I heard you're a writer, by the way, which I definitely want to talk about today.
Yeah, I have written. I haven't really been doing a lot of it because I'm finishing up college, but
Oh,
I do
fair.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You graduating soon, or
Yes,
just
I'm
did, or
graduating
something?
on. Well, as of the recording of this video, I'm graduating on Saturday.
Oh, Jesus, that's pretty close.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah, I
sweet.
know.
You're gonna do a stream for it? You're gonna do
Yeah,
like celebration?
yeah, I'm gonna be doing a stream about it on tomorrow. So
Sweet. I'll pop in probably in the chat. Yeah. No, I mean, like early fantasy and stuff like that, right?
hmm
It's kind of remarkable when you look at the timeline, you know, because that's what I've been doing. I've been studying like when does it start, kind of when does it end, and you look at someone like Tolkien, who most people think is like the beginning. You know what I mean? He's kind of like the origin. And if you look at the years, I'm pretty certain Tolkien is closer to something like Dungeon Crawler Carl than he is to Fantasties, which is remarkable just to look at the differences and how fantasy's changed in that time. But there's a whole lot before him, you know what I mean? And I think it's just kind
hmm
of a lot of good books are probably lost, you know, put to the wayside
Oh
if
yeah,
people
and
just stick the
I
ass in.
guess Gormenghast is technically pre-Tolkien. I read Titus Groan
Mm.
this year as well. Forgot to mention that.
That's my most anticipated one from the pre-Tolkien kind of age is Gormenghast. Even
It's a hell of
before
a
it.
book. It's I mean, I will say though, the prose is very dense. Like
Mm.
not like it's difficult or well, depending on what you view as difficult, it was very heavy on description. I'll just say that.
Mm. Yeah, it takes place in like a single castle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds cool. Did you read all three, or did you just read like the first one?
I was gonna read all three, and I read the first one. And it was really dense and took a while for me to read. I'm like, ha, I'm not doing that.
Say that for
So
another 2 years, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
just read the first one, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was a remarkably different fantasy novel than what I was
Mm.
used to.
Without, like, a real blueprint, you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
think like, you know how, like, fantasy's kinda getting more out there nowadays, to be honest, right? You're getting
Hmm.
a lot of self-pub. It kind of feels like that in the early fantasy as well, because you don't have any of the tropes that are kinda like, this is what fantasy is, and so
Hmm.
you're getting a whole bunch of, unique fantasy takes. Do you structure your, like, TBR? Like, do you have, like, a, "This is what I'm reading for the next, like, 3 months," or something like that, or does you just go with the flow?
I I just kind of I try to I view myself as a mood reader, but sometimes I'll be like, I
Yeah.
kind of want to read these books during the month, but I don't really structure it though.
Yeah.
Though I
You
have
read you
lists of
have
like I do have
Yeah.
like lists of books I want to get to and like during the year, so I kind of keep up with
Mm.
that because I'm just kind of obsessive like that.
Yeah. How long's your list? Like, a
Pretty.
couple 100 books?
Oh, I don't even know anymore. I'll just put it that way.
Just
But
throw it on the list somewhere, will show up, yeah.
yeah, it'll be read at some point.
Nice. I've seen your Goodreads, man, and I, like, was astounded by the number of books you have on there,
Yeah, I
like,
know. It's
yeah.
one of my friends actually said one time. He's like, I'll look for like the weirdest books, and you've added them to list. I'm like, I know.
You've already read and rated them, you know? Yeah.
It's. He's like, you have it on your want to read. I'm like, I know. Yeah, I know. I. You don't need to tell me.
How long have you been reading for then? Like, that must take a while.
I mean, I've been reading since I was a kid. So,
Yeah.
though, I mean, I didn't really start reading fantasy like. I mean, I read some fantasy. I read like I don't know if you ever read like the Magic Tree House.
Yeah, dude, the Magic Tree House back in the day, like the Scholastic kind of books?
Yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
read that.
No.
Like Captain Underpants. But I didn't read like Lord of the Rings or like Harry Potter till I was in like middle school. And I was like, whoa, I know
Bone,
fantasy.
Amulet,
I didn't
remember
know
those
I didn't
ones? The
know
graphic
fantasy could
novels?
do that. I haven't read Bone, unfortunately. I want to at some point.
Oh, that was fire back in the day, man. That was the shit. Um, yeah, honestly, I'm kind of the same though. I read like, you know, kiddie books for the longest time, and even then, I didn't read a ton of them. And it was only Lord of the Rings when I was like 14 that was my real first book. I tried like The Hobbit. I think I tried like The Road by Cormac McCarthy for some reason. Um, Pretty bad, bleak start, I suppose. But then honestly, the thing that got me into it was audiobooks. Like,
Mm.
I don't know if you're an audiobook reader. I think you said that you couldn't really do it as much, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. I tried immersion reading this year. I did it with a couple of books. I started Pale Fire, and I'm just like, I just couldn't do it because I was like, this is just
yeah.
taking too long. So yeah, but yeah, there's probably some audiobooks I'll still do, but not having any plans at the moment.
I read like the Phil Dragish Lord of the Rings books. I don't know if you heard of them. They're like the ones with music and sound effects from the actual movies in it. And it
Oh
like took
yes.
this guy like 4 years to make or something. But I read those, and I read those like back to back probably 3 times. And I already watched like the movies, when I was like 7 or something. So
So you're
but that
familiar
was
with the
kind of the
story?
transition. Yeah, I mean, like that's probably the one
That
like
must have been
that
weird,
got me
when
into
you read the
everything.
books. You're like, whoa, what's all this other stuff? Who's this Tom Bombadil guy? That's weird.
Dude, it felt like more Lord of the Rings. It's like, and especially with like the sound effects, the music and stuff like that. I was just like, wow, this is like, it's like I'm getting a whole other movie. It's like 10 hours of the Lord of the Rings movies, extended editions, something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to overstate the influence of Lord of the Rings on the genre, and even now.
Yeah. Every single video I make where it's like, this is where this trope came from. This is where this came from. Tolkien's like somehow in there. You know what I mean? He's somehow a linchpin. And so people like to say nowadays that like it's cool but we've moved on. I don't really think we have, man. Like I think he's still kind of the goat, but I guess I'll have to see um on this reading journey.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to fully move past Tolkien, for better or for worse.
Mm.
I mean, I did make a video not too long ago about if or well, when was this? Maybe it was like a year ago. I don't remember. It was about if fantasy was in like a identity crisis because
Mm.
people are so inspired by Tolkien. It's funny I'm bringing this up because I was talking about this with Noel Noel D last. I talked with her last night and we were talking about this very thing. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, tell me about this." And I gave her the kind of lowdown. Um, but I don't know. I do think we're slow. I think we're slowly starting to see more unique ideas in fantasy, which nothing wrong about being inspired by Tolkien. I don't think that's ever going to go away. But um,
I think self pub definitely kick that in the high gear a bit.
oh,
Just
for sure. Yeah.
anything can be published now. Yeah. I'd like to see more foreign kind of fantasy kicking. You know what I mean? Like there's very few of them that have really reached the mass appeal, but they're always kind of unique whenever they do show around. And I guess that's only a modern thing.
Yeah, I've only really been dipping my toes into self pub very slowly because there's a bunch of other books out there. Um
Yeah.
um but I but I've been slowly reading them. Like I read the Adan trilogy last year, which
Oh
is
yeah.
probably the best um indie books that I've read so far. Like they're really well done.
Yeah. I'd
Just
actually love to get it's Philip Chase, right?
yeah.
Who made that one? I would
Mhm.
love to get him on a talk about either his books or something early fantasy or whatever, because he seems like the guy who like knows all that stuff about it, and clearly his books emulate that in some way, at least from the reviews I've seen.
I think it was Steve Donahue who told me that Philip Chase has probably forgotten more about fantasy than most people know. So
that's
it's
that's a good guess. That's true.
that's so yeah, I'm like that's about right.
Well, there's very few people who are willing to go to the roots of the genre. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you can see the commitment that he has when he was writing his books. I watched his kind of like I think he made a video that was like the making of the Adan trilogy sort of thing,
Mhm.
and it was like he went the alternative Tolkien route of let's read Lord of the Rings, learn Anglo-Saxon as a language or something like that, and then write his actual story and take like 15 years to do it. And so, but there's very few people who would do that. And so I think that's why the result is pretty good at the end of the day.
Yeah, he tried to like get it published for well, traditionally published for a few years and then he's like, how about I just self-publish it? If I
Yeah.
remember the story correctly, and his agent's like, "All right, go nuts," and then
Yeah.
it's born fruit, is all I'll say.
Do you got publishing aspirations for yours eventually?
Yeah, I'm really leaning on self-publishing because what I have written, I don't know if I don't know if any like traditional publisher would take it, really. But
Yeah, absolutely. I know that feeling. What is it about? If you can say, don't want to reveal too much.
well, I mean, it's set in this kind of colonial-based world where this guy gets in trouble with the local religious organization. Um, got into a fight with one of the members, which isn't a spoiler. This is explained in like the first couple pages.
Right.
Um, and one of the other religious guys shows up. Is like, hey, there's this weird thing going on in this small town. I need you to help me fix it. And we're square. You don't have to, face the consequences of this thing. And he's basically like, okay. And that's kind of where it goes from there. Supernatural weirdness happens. Um,
Colonialism sounds cool though. I feel like that's like medieval fantasy's kind of been done. I feel like that kind of colonial era would be something cool to see in more fantasy.
yeah, I mean, I've heard of some ones like Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky apparently, and like Brian McClellan's done some
Yeah,
uh, done some stuff in that, and I mean, I guess technically Bezlag has done that a little bit, but it's not something that's done as often. So I wanted to try it a little bit.
Have you been writing it for a while, or is it like a new thing?
This has been something I've thought about for a while. It's funny because it originally started out because I had read Beowulf when I was in high school, and I was like, I kind of want to play with that a little bit. And then it
Damn.
kind of evolved from there as I started reading more fantasy. And I really like the character Solomon Kane um, from Robert E. Howard. And I thought
Yeah.
it would be kind of fun to do like a fan Solomon Kane story where he goes to a small town and ends up meeting this lady because he gets injured in a fight. And then I'm like, I don't know if that would work because Solomon Kane isn't really much of a character. He's more of a force of nature. And then I'm like, oh, this character I've been kind of playing with, he could do that. So that's kind of how that ended up happening.
What's the like? How many years has it been then? It's been like
Oh
a
God.
couple, or like you're more like me. It's where it's been like freaking 15.
So I first started thinking about it when I was maybe 17 or 18, so maybe like 7 or 8 years. And then I finally wrote it
Yeah.
in 2023, and it's been kind of an editing hell ever since because classes.
Yeah. Absolutely. What are you in school for?
Journalism, professional media.
Well, I could definitely help.
Yeah.
Uh, they say like I was thinking about going into journalism as well, to be honest, because they were like, "It's going to teach you how to be more concise." That was kind of what people said,
It does teach you
which I thought
that
might help.
because one of the things they kind of drill in your head is be like, you know, be clear, you know.
Yeah, yeah, clear and concise, the two C's.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Now, I mean, you don't have to do that in fantasy, of course, but
A lot of people don't. I'm learning. um,
oh no, oh no.
yeah,
It's kind of
we got
funny
the
because
gift of
like
gab.
noir is more the genre where clear and concise kind of works better because well, unless it's like Raymond Chandler, but I haven't really read Raymond Chandler yet, so I don't know about that. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Every genre is kind of, people are always asking like what does genre mean, and like at the end of the day it's kind of just a marketing term,
Yeah, pretty
but
much.
most like at the end of the day that's why it's there. But I like to think of genres as like, if you want this emotion you go here, you know what I mean? Like if you want
Yeah.
romance, you go to romance. If you want to be scared, you go to horror. If you want, I don't know what a western is, but blah blah blah. Fantasy, to me, if there was like one kind of
If you wanna
emotion
be
boiled down.
cowboying, go to
Yeah,
westerns.
yeah, absolutely. You want to feel like the man, you go to Western. Um, Fantasy for me has always just been immersion. Like you want to just go to a different world, then you go
Hmm.
into a fantasy genre, kind of.
Hmm.
Sci-fi is more like you want to have big ideas in space or something. You can do that, but fantasy is kind of like that. So the immersion aspect in fantasy, which is where I think a lot of these like blocks of paragraphs come from, is down to that kind of idea that fantasy is one of the only genres where they're really trying to immerse you in a setting at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember Philip Chase was talking about an essay from Ursula K. Le Guin, where she was talking about the how the language of a fantasy novel matters.
The Language of the Night or something.
Yeah, I actually have that book. I
Yeah.
haven't read it yet because I don't know, but it's in that book though. I
Mm.
think it's called From Elfland to Poughkeepsie, and I'm like, I haven't read this yet, but I know of it because like Philip Chase has talked about it, and other fantasy aficionados, if you will, have talked about it.
That's a good word. I'm gonna call myself that now. It sounds good. It sounds professional.
Yeah, I mean, you're reading like William Morris. I haven't read that, so I mean, what are you
I
gonna do?
I mean, would I recommend you read them? That's really where the question starts.
I mean, would you
Because
recommend reading William Morris?
I'll say I haven't finished the book yet, so in all fairness, George MacDonald, on the other hand, though, is definitely an interesting read a lot of the time, because you know how like people talk about like C.S. Lewis as like, oh my gosh, the preaching in C.S. Lewis,
Hmm.
like this was C.S. Lewis's master, like that's literally what he called him. And so
Oh yeah.
George MacDonald, right, will just like there's a book that I just read where he just calls anyone basically anyone who is an atheist an idiot. Like he just kind of says it in the
Oh
novel.
well.
And like
Okay
there's
then.
no subtlety, you know what I mean? Like brother was an innovator, you know what I mean? So like respect to him. He did the good shit. But he really had his opinions. And so I'm reading a whole lot of allegorical pseudo fantasy kind of works right now. That is graining.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. My friend Raph was like, "Oh, if you really want to melt your brain, you should read like Voyage to Arc. It's like Voyage to Arcturus or something.
Voyage to Arcturus. Yeah, yeah.
Arcturus." I'm like, thank you, but I don't know if I want to fry my brain that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, how they sell the book, they're like, it's a very cool, influential, sci-fi, epic. Nothing happens for 700 pages. It's just them walking, but very
Oh.
cool, like, yeah, I mean, all these books that are on my list, right, have this like, very few of them are praised to like the heavens when they're before Tolkien or something like that, at least in the fantasy genre.
Mhm.
Um, it's more just like you get this seed of this here, this seed of that here. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey through it.
Yeah, it- yeah, it's a it's interesting type of I forget what I was saying, but I mean, I'm sure that's an interesting journey you're going on, though.
Yeah, I mean, so far, right? Especially with making the videos, I feel like I wouldn't get half of them if I didn't make the videos for it. You know what I mean? Because then it
Mhm.
kind of forces me to sit down and really think critically about it. But it's cool, man. You can see a lot of the influence, and I think a lot of people just assume, this kind of was always here, but there's kind of an influence for everything. You know what I mean? And even though I'm starting kind of in the 1800s, there was influences from before that point. And
Mhm.
so, you have to start somewhere, of course, but
I mean, hell, you
it's
could kind
like
of go back to like the Odyssey if you really
a
want to go
freaking
back.
epic of Gilgamesh if you really wanted to just
That
start
yeah, that
there.
as well. It's
Yeah,
funny. I actually read the Epic of Gilgamesh in a mythology class I took when I was in college.
that
I'm
sounds
like,
pretty
oh,
fun.
that's pretty
Mythology
dope.
class. Yeah. Was it good? Would you
Yeah,
recommend?
yeah, no, it was
Five
fun.
stars for the Epic of
Yeah,
Gilgamesh.
it was fun. There's a wrestling match and um he meets like a lady and he's like, oh, that's cool, you know.
How long is it actually though? Like,
Uh, I the one I read wasn't that bad, but it's not like the Odyssey where it's like 700 pages. I think it's worth it
right.
because I love the Odyssey. Don't get me wrong, but
Excited
yeah,
for the movie or kind of dreading it a bit?
I'm looking forward to the movie. I like Christopher Nolan, but we'll see.
If there was someone who's going to at least make it like good, you know what I mean? Like a good movie, I'd
Mm.
imagine it'd be him. Um, but haven't
Yeah,
really read it before.
yeah, no, it's the last time I read the Odyssey actually was in high school because they make you read it. But there are worse books to make you read in high school than the Odyssey because the Odyssey is like an adventure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Better
it's
than
an
I think it's better
important
than the
work of
Iliad
fiction.
anyway. The Iliad's kind of like the Iliad kind of meanders a little bit. Odyssey is very straightforward. It's like there's this guy Odysseus. He just wants to get home,
Yeah, character driven. Uh,
and all of
the
the
problem with
disastrous things that happen while he's trying to get
yeah,
home. Oh, poor guy.
and in my English class, they made the transition from like normal English with like Shakespeare and all that stuff to like First Nations kind of studies, right? Like that's like I'm Canadian, right? So that's obviously
Mm.
like a big deal here. And so all the books I read in English class from like post grade 9 was like unfortunately these very crappy First Nations books because they're just not as good. Like at the end of the day, like cool story. Why did we have to do 3 years of it? That's just what I'm wondering. But um, so so I've missed out on it. Like everyone talks about, like, oh yeah, you've done like Shakespeare in high school, right? Nope, never read it. Never read Iliad. Never read the Odyssey. None of these. So
I mean, I think they're well worth it. I mean, if not, what you're doing, I feel like the Odyssey's kind of required reading. To
yeah,
be like, oh,
yeah.
this is where all that stuff came from, kind of a little bit.
It's like learning music, you know, it's like classical music. It has all the melodies of modern music. They kind of invented that stuff here, and
Hmm.
then we're just kind of reinterpreting it. It's like ancient myths and stuff like that. That's where all these tropes that we just are in stories come from. And so everyone gets mad at me when I say, you know, in my chosen one video, you know, oh, this is where it started. And then guys in the comments are like, what about Epic of Gilgamesh? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's like
brother,
that.
like,
So it's those angry nerds in the comments section are like, "What about this?" I'm just like,
I'm like, dude, like I say in the video, like this is for epic fantasy. Like, when did it get into epic fantasy? But of course, you know, I appreciate the passion though. So respect to those
it's
guys.
like it's like the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's in the name, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
nothing
Bale.
came after it. You know, once it's done, it's like there's no innovation. That man, like I just don't want to be one of those like old heads. You know what I mean? I'm reading all these like older fantasy works, right? I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, Lord Dunsany was the goat. Everything post him is, you know, is just nonsense and ripping it off. But um, which
I
there
don't
are.
think so on that regard. I think like if we're talking like English fantasy, I think like Jonathan Stranger Mr. Norrell's kind of the peak of that,
Yeah,
but it's very
yeah,
long, so see how that might deter some
yeah.
people. But I read it last year, and I thought it was fantastic. Really, really did.
That one's pretty modern actually too, right? It's like
Well, it
2000.
is, but it's her kind of emulating the style of the time. But don't worry, it's not hard to follow.
Yeah, I like that stuff, man. When they modernize like kind of the older stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool. I like good prose. I like kind of that ancient style, I guess.
Oh yeah, it was your myth versus fantasy video I was watching the other day. I quite enjoyed that video.
Yeah. I mean, like at a certain point, I just don't like any of my videos, right? Because I'm always like, oh man, like, why don't you
Oh, I
improve
don't
this? You know,
watch I
why don't
don't
you do
watch a lot of my videos because I just get real like ugh. But sometimes I'll watch
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sometimes I'll watch like podcasts I've done to relive the experience.
I like your videos, man, because you can sit there and you actually have like the ability to speak for like hours on end without like sounding boring, which is like, you know, man, I wish like that's what I wish I could do.
Yeah, no, I generally, yeah, I used to just kind of freeball it, and then I'm like, well, I'm just rambling here, so I just stop that, and I write my thoughts down, and I'll read it, and sometimes ad
Like a
lib.
full yeah, like a bullet point kind of script sort of
Yeah,
deal. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, I find. Um, yeah, I mean, just being able to just turn on the camera and not have to do any of the editing, not have to do any of that. It's definitely a time saver. I mean,
yeah. I
you
mean, the
put
only
far more
editing I
videos than I
do
do.
is I'll record the intro of my video, and then I'll record the actual video, and I just put them together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think the fastest I can get one video out, at least to the, you know, kind of the quality that I want is like 3 days, you know, because if I read a book, these books are short. So it
Hey,
takes me
whatever
like five
works
hours to read
is
them.
whatever works. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not. A lot of people are like, damn, you put out videos fast. I'm like, well, again, I'm kind of obsessive, so I generally I can be kind of schedule oriented. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you got so many like live streams coming out, right? And so many like conversations with all these people. It must be like a scheduling nightmare. You know what I
yeah. No,
mean? Like,
I actually read Gardens of the Moon not too long ago, and I'm hoping to get a couple friends of mine to talk about it, and it's been a hassle getting them all together. One of them's in
yeah, I
nursing
mean,
school, so he's like, I'm taking my final exams. I'm like, go do that, bro. Like, you know.
don't don't miss that for a Gardens of the Moon talk. You know,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah,
um,
just go do that.
yeah. I mean, getting conversations like this is obviously, I feel like the best aspect of the job, I suppose. You know,
That's
being
my
able to
favorite part
connect.
of doing this.
Yeah.
I generally, that's what I look back fondly on are the conversations.
What are some of the best ones you've had? Who's been a really, you know, engaging speaker?
I mean, Philip Chase is always fun to hang out with. I've had him on my podcast twice and talked about the Adan trilogy with him because, generally when I have on, when I read indie books, let's say, I like to get the authors on and just kind of talk to them about, what they were thinking and all that. uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it's a good workaround from actually, reviewing stuff from people But, anyway. Um, it, the ones I always really like, at least podcast wise, are the ones that like surprise me in a way.
Hmm.
Like just some I'm like, I don't know what this is gonna be like, and then it ends up being like a really good conversation. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to get a couple more. I don't know if I'd want to do them on my channel. Like, I don't know if like I have the audience to actually like if anyone would watch it, but I definitely want to get to the point where like, you can do live streams and stuff like that. Like that'd be pretty sweet. Um, but not for a little while, I suppose.
yeah, I know. And I've done streams. I get kind of flabbergasted when like 10 people show up. I'm like, oh wow, I guess people do like my channel.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, right? Like, when was the last time I ever like spoke to 10 people without them like, like in a like just me speaking? You know what I mean? Like I look at, people talk about views and stuff like that, right? And they're like, "Oh man, this video only got like, some bigger YouTuber will say it only got like 30,000 views." And I'll think about 30,000 people and I'm like, "Man, you got a whole stadium just sitting there listening to you talk." And it's kind of intimidating like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of like, man, like that's crazy, you know. Because I'm always flabbergasted when it comes to, oh, people like watch my videos and like take it seriously. Okay, nice.
You got 700 people, that are like subscribed to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if all of them watch my videos, but a good amount of them do. So
At
I have
some point they
fans.
thought this guy's cool, like, I'll click that. But yeah, do you care about like that sort of metric stuff or no? Are you not really big into that?
No, not really. I mean, I hate to sound like because I've seen a lot of other people who are like, no, not really, but like, no, it's not something I. I mean, I was hoping to get to 1K this year, but that didn't work out. So, but aside from that,
Yeah.
that I mean, I'm just glad people are watching it. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a privilege thing, you know what I mean? Like you got all these people that want to hear your thoughts. When you go in your own real life, I bet there's probably not a ton of people who really want to talk this deep about epic fantasy. But
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? King of Elfwood's daughter? What the hell is that? That's yeah.
why are you reading this book on Goodreads that has less than 1,000 ratings on it, John?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell last year, and my parents, and it's a big book, like it's about 1,000 pages, and my
Mm.
parents would just see me reading this, and they would just be like, "Good lord, like when are you gonna finish this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Took me about 4 months, but
The craziest thing is when you tell them that you're like 3 days, like like a couple afternoons,
yeah,
and
like my mom's like, "Oh, okay, so you read like a 300-page book." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's not bad. I could probably get through that in a
yes,
couple days or weeks, about a week."
a 500 page like brisk read.
Yeah, about two
The
weeks for
the
me.
funniest thing is when people read like something like Dresden Files in between Malazan books, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's just me like pacing myself out here. I'm I'm reading a book in between another massive book to pace myself out from reading."
I mean, I haven't
Uh,
read Dresden, so I don't know about that, but yeah, I've heard it's kind of a palate cleanser kind of book. I mean,
yeah.
I'm actually about to read a palate cleanser book, which is another indie book. My friend Joe Burns' Hybrid Helix book,
Mm,
The Shadow of Hyperion. Um,
right.
that's sometimes ones I like to read, kind of as palate cleansers because they're pretty fast and easy to digest. But they're good. I enjoy them. At least the three I've read.
That's not actually like the Hyperion Cantos, right?
No,
That's
it's
not.
that's something else.
Oh,
Hyperion
sounds
is
like
just
one.
the name of the big superhero and in the world of the Hybrid Helix. I did read the Hyperion book last year and thought it was fine. I didn't really think it was as much of a classic, which I'm sure makes me popular among booktubers because there's a lot of booktubers who really like that book.
The
But
greatest science fiction book of all time. Like yeah, I've seen all those things too. So
yeah, and I'm just like,
um,
no, hardly.
cool take, bro. But no, yeah. There's very few books that I find really like us. Like everyone hypes it up the first kind of time they read it, but there's very few books that keep that hype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on BookTube enough that I've seen like 4 or 5 different series get like massive hype.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays they're like, do people actually read that a lot? Like I'm thinking about like Rage of Dragons. Like when that came out, dude, that was everywhere.
Yeah, it was
Every
written by a
single
Canadian,
booktuber.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, those damn Canadians like myself. Um, but like that was everywhere,
Yeah, like
dude. Like that
Malzahns
was
by a
great.
Canadian. Apparently, I'm like, oh man, it's like,
Dude, what was in the water in Guy Gavin and whatever his like Steven Erickson's town? Like what water were they drinking there
I don't
that
know.
they like I've heard people say that those are the two best fantasy authors, like just in general. And they come from the same town and they're like 2 years younger than each other or something like that. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah, no, he's just chilling, man. Just having a good time. But yeah, it's R. Scott Baker's also from Canada, which I mean I haven't read him yet, and been kind of hesitant too, because well, I won't get into that rabbit hole again.
yeah.
I'll just
I
put it
mean
this way:
probably
he
like
had an argument with
yeah.
one of my friends. He didn't really come off looking that good, and I honestly didn't really feel that interested in reading his book after that. But
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a tough thing to
when you
I
get
assume
like
he was
when you
on
get like
what, like
uber
a
defensive like
podcast?
that, I just kind of lose respect for you a little bit,
Fair. Yeah,
like a little bit.
absolutely. Um, what was I gonna say? Don't start Gardens of the Moon and probably whatever it's called, Prince of Nothing. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no,
Um,
I'm not planning to. So I read
both those at the same time would be pretty wild.
yeah, I mean, I've heard Prince of Darkness is or whatever it's called. It's the R. Scott Baker books. I know are much bleaker.
Mm.
Malzahn at least has that compassion thing going, or well, so I've heard. I didn't really get a lot of that in the first book.
It's supposedly about compassion.
Yes,
Yeah,
just big bold letters. That's what it's about.
yeah. Treat everyone happily. Book
Yeah.
about war. And, yeah. I mean, are you into the more kind of bleak, grimdark kind of books?
I think I mean I tend to like darker stories, but like I'm a bit choosy with grimdark because I do think it could sometimes become a parody of itself after a while. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
I don't know, just put it that way.
The problem is I think they take away the themes of grimdark, right? Like
Hmm.
I think they just have like let's just have it be violent, have it be gory. Um, I think there's always got to be a point to something like that in writing.
It's like, oh man, what? Let's get violent and sexual. Oh,
Oh,
oh
never seen
wow.
that one before.
But I do
um,
think it has its place though. I mean, I've read the first Law trilogy, and I still think that's probably the best example of grimdark. I mean, I don't really consider like A Song of Ice and Fire grimdark. I don't think it fits that neatly. I mean, it definitely is kind of gritty fantasy in that sense. I generally prefer the term gritty fantasy over
Mm.
grimdark, personally speaking. But
Grimdark's a
uh,
Warhammer term, anyways. Like,
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I haven't touched the Warhammer, but I've heard it's pretty wild.
that's a whole rabbit hole I do not want to go into. All right,
No,
you
no,
want to talk
no.
about Malazan and Prince of Nothing, and there's Warhammer.
No, it's
Like,
Prince of Nothing. Yeah, Prince of Darkness is the John Carpenter movie. That's
yeah,
I got mixed up on that. But yeah, no, it's. I'm just like that's not. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just like I'm gonna read Gardens of the Moon, see how that goes, and maybe I'll read Dead Hell's Gates at some point in the future.
did you enjoy it? Because that's kind of a people can be on the other side.
I had a very mixed. I had a very mixed experience with Gardens of the Moon. I'll just say that, which I
I've
suppose
never
wasn't
really heard
surprising
anyone say
because
they love it. Like straight at the gate. Very
yeah,
few.
no, some of my friends who are big Malazan fans were like, well, it is the roughest, is what they said, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I started reading it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think I see what they mean. There was a couple times I
Mhm.
wanted to throw it across the room because I was getting mad at it, but I finished it, so for better or for
Yeah,
worse.
I think I read. The worst thing is they say don't do the audiobook, right? And I started the audiobook, like maybe first 10 minutes or so, and I had 3 POV changes in the first opening 10 minutes, and
Oh yeah,
I
it's
really thought to
it's
myself,
it's epic with a capital E. I'm not, it's
yeah,
really is not playing on that regard. Because I was
mm,
reading it and it's like, oh, it's like 11 years goes by. I'm like, are you serious, dude? Like, we're not even like barely in. We're 50 pages in. What's going on here?
yeah.
You know.
And it's like reading like the Silmarillion or something. You're just like, and 1,000 years went by, and this kingdom was risen and fell, and like,
I haven't read the Silmarillion.
anyways,
I've been kind of, I don't want to say I've been intimidated because I mean, I get it's just a book at the end of the day, but it's kind of like, well, what is the Silmarillion? I've talked about it with Philip Chase because I don't know. We've just talked a lot about fantasy over the years, I guess.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, what even is the Silmarillion? Isn't it like his Bible? And he's like, kind of. And I'm like,
I'll
I don't know.
say it's like if you took something with the epicness and kind of the scale of Malzahn, condensed it into 300 pages, and then had like a Catholic preacher write it down. Like that's what it feels like. Because like Tolkien, people think he's like this, go lucky, I write hobbits and stuff like
And
that.
I write
The
hobbits.
Silmarillion, like the Silmarillion has like Game of Thrones level politics and like Malzahn level scale and like tragedy and all these things. But it's
Yeah, I've
300
heard
pages,
Children
like
of Hurin
slim
is
book.
pretty hardcore.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. And it's kind of impressive
And
that
isn't
he was
Children of
coming up with that
Hurin
stuff.
in the Silmarillion, if I remember?
It's like a chapter in the Silmarillion. A lot of those like Baron and Luthien kind of Fall of Gondolin books that they released are
Make up
like
your mind.
expanded editions of the uh the chapters within the Silmarillion.
Sorry, I
Silmarillion's kind
keep
of like just a brief, yeah.
sorry, I keep getting up. My cat is just can't make up your mind.
That's all
Is what
right.
you're doing. And my doors suck ass, so she could just kind of barge in without too much hassle.
Right.
So yeah, get over here. Oh shit. There you go. Yep. Yeah, Miss Jerry. She occasionally makes appearances in my videos.
Now
She
this one's just got a whole lot better,
she loves to rub up on my mic for whatever reason. I don't know why, but she just likes to rub up on it. I'm afraid she's gonna like bite it. I'm like, hey, this was like $300. Okay,
Yeah.
Saint Chu Choi.
They
But
look kind of like, one of those scratching posts, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
maybe I don't know. But
I
yeah,
don't
no.
know.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Children of Hurin.
Silmarillion,
Yeah, Silmarillion.
yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to
It's
read the. I kind of want to read the Children of Hurin. I want to see Tolkien go grimdark. I want to see how he does it. Apparently, it gets like real bleak. I'm like, oh,
See, I've not read any of the individual like Children of Hurin, Fall of Gondolin ones like that, but I like obviously like know the story and stuff like that. And it
because you read the Silmarillion.
yeah, I did. I did.
How was
And that was
that?
one of the
I've heard it's an interesting experience. It's
I think it's the most impressive fantasy book considering the time it came out in. Um
yeah, and
if
like I
if
think
you
his
were
son
thinking
and Gabriel Kay
his
helped
son
put it
published
together.
it, in like this, I think it was like 77 or something like that, right? Which is
Mm.
still early, like as is. But if you're considering when Tolkien was kind of conceptualizing it and like wrote down most of this stuff, like I've made a statement before to my brother, who's also like kind of a big reader, that maybe, a little bit too premature, but if the Silmarillion was released as a normal novel, like written with prose, in the time that it was conceived, we would have things like Malazan 30 years later, because it would be that influential. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
think like it's got like main character deaths and scale like you've never seen before, and tragedy and like myths like kind of
Hey, hey, hey,
seamlessly
hey,
built
hey, hey,
together.
hey.
And
Sorry, I'm
like
talking to my cat.
yeah,
She was biting me.
and like the 70s, like that's when it was released, and so you know it's pretty crazy like that.
Oh, dude, you're getting me excited to read the Silmarillion now. I've been kind of hesitant for a long time because, I don't know.
The way I did it, because you try to read that book, like I don't know about you, but I'm kind of like a dumbass reader, you know what I mean? If you try to read that book, none of it's going to make sense to you, because there's
If
like
you try
it's
to
just full of
shotgun it, yeah,
names.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I watched a ton of videos on it beforehand. Like I'd watched like
It's not a bad bit.
there's this guy called like Arhir Galadurathon or something like that. He made, and like Tolkien Untangled is another dude. He makes like story kind of
Right, like
well
the real
edited
hardcore like
narrations.
Tolkien nerds. That's probably a good
Yeah,
bet.
absolutely. I watched like all of those, right? So I kind of, when I was going into this room, I was like, okay, I know who Feanor is, I know
Feanor.
that like I know where they kind of are. And it's very cool because it makes Lord of the Rings better. Like you don't know Lord of the Rings until you've read the Silmarillion kind of deal, because it's just so many things are enhanced, in my opinion. So
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with my friend Alex last night. He runs the channel Magnino Alex, where he talks about, well, just whatever interests him. He really likes, stuff like the Star Wars expanded universe, whatever.
yeah.
And we were talking about Lord of the Rings last night because he was talking about the Hobbit movies, and he's like, "Ah, man, if they had just made the Hobbit into two movies, I think it would have been fine." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I kind of view it this way. I think like the Hobbit is like the best like straight story out of all of
Mm.
the Lord of the Rings, but I think Lord of the Rings is the more impressive like achievement."
It's very well paced, The Hobbit. Like if you're talking about children's books, like
Mm-hmm.
give any kid that book, like any like as long as they kind of like fantasy a little bit, and they're gonna love that book. It's kind of like the start of everyone's journey here, it
I
seems
mean,
like.
hell, even like Garth Ennis, who's like an avowed like non-fantasy reader, even acknowledged he calls it storytelling 101 in some of his interviews. So I mean, there you go.
I kind of see it. I can see it.
But yeah, no, it's a good book. Also has my favorite of the Tolkien characters, Thorin.
Yeah, yeah. Thorn's good. My favorite Tolkien character is not from The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, and so
Is it
that's
from the
another
Silmarillion?
Silmarillion. Yeah, another Silmarillion plus for you there. Um,
Have you read like Christopher Rocchio? Because he said similar things. Like his favorite characters from, I don't know if it's a Silmarillion, but it's from another Tolkien thing.
I haven't read them, but of all the like I've watched like the most recent like Tudor Ramble podcast with him, and he sounds like a lot like me as kind of a reader and a writer, and so I'm definitely looking forward to him. Sounds like he could be good.
Yeah, I haven't read Sun Eater yet because I'm like I don't know. I'm waiting for all the books to come out, and now they're out, so maybe I'll get to them at some point. I'm
Yeah.
not in any rush, is what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, I try to go for books that aren't so popular. I guess I have that kind of like hipster streak, if you will.
Mm. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm be
Brother's
like,
kind of
I'm
the
gonna
same
read
way.
Blood in the Mist this year, and people are like, "What the hell is that?" You know?
Yeah, it's like people who are like, you haven't read like Way of Kings, but you're reading Blood in the Mist.
Yeah, no,
it's
right?
it's
I'm just kind of
yeah.
I haven't really felt the itch to read Sanderson, even though I probably should, because he has had an impact for better or for worse.
I think, I mean, I haven't read Sanderson, so there's that. I haven't read him like,
I haven't
and
either.
I
I'm
just
just
think, yeah, I just think like he's obviously like a big deal. Like obviously, like when you're looking at kind of the landscape, he's obviously like a big kind of what does Rothfuss say? Like he's a monolith within the landscape sort of deal.
Yeah.
And but I think his influence is more outside of his books. Surprisingly, I think it's like, oh man, we have an actual author who can write every single year a massive book that's well received. We have a guy who's like, goes on lecture series and is like ingrained within the community. I think that's the thing that he'll be more remembered for, to be honest, because I think he set the standard a bit high,
Yeah, I think he'll be remembered for like pushing it forward, just like how people can interact with authors, and also just like putting out, doing a Kickstarter and having it work as successfully as it did.
Mm.
You know, I think that's what it'll be remembered for.
That's huge. I mean, like look at the amount of Kickstarters and the amount of what are they like leather bound books and like special releases. That was all because of him. Like
Yeah,
I wasn't seeing that before him, and so
yeah, and I think it'll be I think he'll be remembered for that, if anything else.
yeah.
Though I mean, I don't know. Again, I haven't read any of his books, so I can't really comment on the quality of them. But maybe someday.
Someday, one of these days,
That ever future, one of these days.
throw it on the TBR,
Yeah.
and in several years it may come up. Yeah, yeah.
No, but I mean, it's I have plenty of fantasy books I'd like to get to. That,
What's coming up?
Well, I after Malazan, I'm kind of like, you know what? I want to take a break from the big epics, the big capital E epics for a while. So I'm just gonna stick with some standalones for a bit, because it seems like a fun, it's a fun idea. Though I'm only making one exception, because I want to read the Greenbone Saga next year by Fonda Lee.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I haven't heard of a fantasy gangster epic before, so I mean that sounds fun. I want to kind of see how that goes.
Another booktube darling right there.
Yeah, that's a reason as well, because a lot of people like it, and I want to see what the fuss is about.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to predict like future classics, you know what I mean? But that seems like one that could maybe,
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, people were crying." People were crying. Yeah, so there you go.
Jade Legacy is the greatest fantasy book ever. I don't know if you've heard. But,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's like a martial arts kung fu thing. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think there's like a couple. It's cool to see like the fantasy books that come out nowadays. And, even if I've not read them, just kind of predict, like, is this going to be the next big deal? Is this going to be a classic for the future sort of deal? I guess I don't know why I care about that sort of thing, but I suppose I just do. And so I'm putting them all on the list. They're all on that massive list. So.
And it always. But yeah, it's, yeah. But yeah, I'm mostly going to be reading standalones. Because, I feel like fantasy standalones get kind of overlooked, if you will.
It's a sign of a good writer, in my opinion, too. Like, if you don't have to really, stretch your series out, you don't need a massive series. You can kind of put it in one little book.
Then again, I did kind of experiment with that this year. Like I read Blood in the Mist and King Elfland's Daughter and The Broken Sword, which are technically standalones. You don't have to read anything else aside from that.
It's the best thing about early fantasy, man. I don't think I have a real series that's longer than like 3 books until, like Wheel of Time. You know what I mean?
I mean, Lord of the Rings was gonna be one book, but his editors were like, we literally cannot put this in the one book. You're gonna have to split it. And he's like, dang it. Yeah. Okay. 3 books it is.
I have a hot take about this, right? Because everyone's like, they count Lord of the Rings as one book. Fair enough. It was designed that way. It's meant to be one book, whatever. But they don't do that for any of the other books that are split. You know what I mean? They always are like, Lord of the Rings is one book, but talking about Sun Eater again. Demon and White and Kingdoms of Death, though, that's completely different. We should review those separately. Lord of the Rings was still edited as 3 books. Like he made the decision, split them up, and then edited them into 3 books. So I don't know. I count them as 3. People count them as 1. I count them as 3 because it's no
I
different
see
than
him
any
as
other book.
3 personally. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's not every day you. I mean, it was gonna be 1 book, but I think he made it work for 3. At
Absolutely.
least I
It
think so.
became the template for the trilogy. You know what I mean? Like people write trilogies nowadays because Lord of the Rings was 3 books, and yet it was designed as 1. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
People also say that. Oh, sorry, you go. Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, I generally prefer like trilogies and whatnot to big epics.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with the big epics, by the way. I'm just kind of, I'm more picky about them because I don't want to waste my time. If you know what I mean.
I I've never read personally, I've never read a big epic that there wasn't books within the epics that were not like that shouldn't have been 1
That were
book.
just
You know what I mean?
nothing burgers.
Like nothing bigger books. As a trilogy, if like let's say like yeah, like as a trilogy, you could it's almost impossible if you have a massive story to fit it all in. But that's kind of what I want from my books. I want there to be so much in it that when I pay the $30 to buy it, I'm like, wow, I know I'm getting something for this
You're getting
$30.
bang for your
Right.
buck.
Yeah, like per page, like the ratio of cool thing per page should be really high. And if you have 14 books, Wheel of Time, I'm sorry, you're going to get a Crossroads of Twilight eventually. Like it's just going to happen. Um, and so I
You can
definitely
only
under
walk
like
around in the woods for so long.
yeah, like a real skilled storyteller is focused on how can I do the thing faster rather than how can I make it longer. And so a real like skilled storyteller probably doesn't have a lot of 10-book series in their arsenal because they just go, well, actually I finished it in like 2. Um, and so I think standalones and trilogies are kind of underappreciated.
Yeah, no, I mean, not that they're the, epic series that I like. Like Song of Ice and Fire comes to mind, or the Dark Tower and whatnot. But like, they're very few and far between.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could read 7 standalones from a variety of different authors, or you could read 1 massive series from 1 guy about 1 thing. So
Mm.
it's more compelling as a reader.
Yeah, like, and also just there's some standalones I've been wanting to get to. Like, I'm hoping next year to read Gloriana by Michael Moorcock, which is kind of a lot of people say it's his best book. So
I've heard that too. I'm honestly contemplating putting it kind of on my TBR as well.
I've only read
Very.
I've only read some of his like earlier work. So I've read like Elric and like Horum, which are fun. I enjoy them a lot. Actually, the next book I'm writing in my which is the sequel to the one I already wrote, is going to be kind of my play on Melda Manans, actually. Because I'm like, I can play with that a little bit. So hopefully Michael
Is yours a
Moorcock
trilogy
doesn't mind.
or a?
No, mine, unfortunately, I have to be a bit of a hypocrite here. Mine's going to be kind of multi-book, though it's not really a one epic.
Yours is 15 books long,
No,
1,000
it won't
pages.
be
Yeah,
that long, but it's
yeah.
it's not like an epic story or anything. It's more like one of my have you ever read like the Gentleman Bastard books or like Lankmar?
And no, I've heard it. Like I know about it. I suppose on a spoiler-free sense.
So, kind of like that, where it's like you could read the story standalone and have a good time with it, but like but there are consequences from the other books that kind of follow throughout the
Right. Yeah.
that.
Those are nice to read. That's kind of what publishers want nowadays too. They want like that standalone with series potential kind of deal. Um, yeah. Although
Yeah,
self-publishing, you shouldn't really care about that, I suppose. Um, how long is your first book?
it's not that long. It's like 200. Last time I checked, I generally go by pages rather than like word counts. Like if we're going like word count, it's like I think almost 90,000 words. So
Hmm.
it's not long,
Yeah.
but like pages, it's like 256 pages because I'm like because again, like I was kind of trying to. I'll admit I was kind of trying to buck some fantasy trends as much as I could. Like I just wanted to give like a relatively straightforward story that people could follow and be like, oh, this world's kind of cool. I want to see more of this. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give like the whole big like here's the history of the planet. You know, like here are the moon cycles. You're like what? Like I don't
Yeah,
care about
yeah. I
this.
mean, people love that stuff, but I definitely think there's more room for just an alternative style, just something different. Even just formatting, like just switch up. Like, why do we always have to have limited POV? Third person perspectives. Why can't we have like mine book? I'm saying this now has little super duper long chapters where like they're like TV episodes, right? And then you have little kind of what do you call it, like intermissions in between those.
Interludes.
Yeah, like interludes in within a single episode, if that makes sense. And I just like that idea of let's switch up how this is kind of feels, the pacing of it. And I have to say, mine is probably the complete opposite of your book. Mine is 400,000 words, and
Damn.
you learn the entire you learn the entire history of the of the universe within the first book. So
You mean
it's
like the you mean
yeah.
like the you mean like an oracle or something? He goes, here's the history of the universe.
I
Bam.
don't start the book like that
Also,
though.
I was
Thankfully, I'm
also I
not like a
was
world emperor. Yeah.
then again I was also pulling from more like pulp traditions, so it wasn't so it was a bit more of a streamlined story than a lot of other epic fantasy might be.
Yeah. Where do you think when do you think the like I don't want to say publication date. That sounds like a lot of stress, but is it like close to being done sort of deal? Are you like,
Well, one of my big
you know,
goals for 2026 is actually getting it out to the world because my dad and I were talking about it and
mm,
we've been kind of going over it. Um, and we got this like kind of proofreader. I want to say it's
mm.
AI. It's kind of like Grammarly, but it's
Yeah.
like a mix between
It's,
Grammarly and Chat GBT. And because my dad was like, "Oh, we should use this AI," and I was like, "I don't. I'm kind of hesitant." And then my
sounds
dad,
bad to the public,
and
like
then
I
my
used
dad kind
AI
of,
for this book. Yeah.
and then my dad looked around. He's like, "Okay, I found this thing. It'll keep your voice. Like it's gonna be what you wrote, but it's gonna like tighten it a little bit." And I'm like,
Right.
"Okay, I can work with this." So he's
I
been
think
kind of putting it into the proofreader, sends it to me, and I look it over and edit it.
right.
And I also want to rewrite some stuff because the initial edits I got from a friend of mine who edited the book, I'm like, I kind of liked what I did before better, so I'm just gonna rewrite it, or I could probably do this better without the guy having to die.
Yeah. Um I won't say I use ChatGPT, right? Because like I don't want to say like it doesn't write any of the words for
Like
me. But
AI gets kind of a bit. I
yeah.
mean, I was ranting about AI in my last stream, so I won't kind
Yeah.
of rehash my thoughts on that.
If
But
if I could press a button and remove it, I'd be very tempted to remove it. But um, the way I say I use AI is actually not for writing at all, but it is related to the book. And it's the best like strategy I found if you're a plotter. Like I don't know if you're a plotter or if you're a discovery writer, whatever it may be, or a hybrid, but I use it to retell my book back to me through the summaries. So I have like my plot outline, right, is like 80,000 words long, and
no,
it's bullet points. It's bullet points like of every single thing that happens in the chapter, almost like a mini book. Like you can kind of read it and know understand, and it just doesn't have any of the prose, right?
mm.
But I send chunks of those things into ChatGPT and tell it, hey, I don't want you to give me any critiques. I don't want you to tell me this is what you should write instead. I want you to say, hey, as a first time reader, what do you think? What does this make you feel? Can you give me like a
so
line by line commentary?
it's basically like a beta reader. That's fun.
It's it's a beta reader, right? And the reason why I like it is because AI is kind of just this amalgamation of online opinions, right? It just
Mm.
says whatever it thinks it should. And so if you do that with your own kind of story beats, getting out of the prose or whatever, it will be like, hey, this scene was more exciting than the last one. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I like how it rises in tension here. And of course, AI is never going to tell you, this is a piece of dog shit or something, but it's gonna, it's going to be like more excited for certain elements. And
Hmm.
something about when it reviews it and it sends it back to me allows me to see my book in a way different way. Like, you know how they say like the hardest thing is to see it like it's the reader itself. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of a struggle. This completely like just removed that error for me. I can see my book so clearly now. I can see it how a reader might read
It's
it,
so
kind
funny
of.
how that works because I when I wrote my book, the one I've written, and I was like, I was so proud of it. I was like, I finally wrote something I'm actually okay with, because the stuff I had written before then, I'm like, this is dog shit. But then my friend like marked it up and was like, here's all this stuff. Like I sighed a lot, and I didn't think it was that much, but it was ridiculous how many times I sighed. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I really suck at this.
It's
Not
always the
really.
descriptions,
I'm
man.
still
Like there's
proud of the
always
story I
yeah.
told, but I was kind of like, damn, this is a first draft, I guess.
There's there's always something in the descriptions that you do over and over and over and
I
over
was
again.
trying to convey like this is a world where people. It's kind of a world where it's like not nice, and people are like it's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
People are tired, and you
Yeah.
know.
Mine is always I describe their eyes. I describe their eyes in every single description, and I don't. The thing is, I'm visualizing my characters right now. I have no idea what they look like on like a facial aspect. I just know like they have dark hair, they have eyes that look like this, and that's pretty much it, right? But I need to think of more actual concrete descriptions because
Yeah,
everyone's
I
just a
sometimes
blank
fear I
face.
over describe things because like one thing people told me in the past is like, well, you sometimes think like you know what you're talking about, but not everyone else does. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I got you. So sometimes I'll put like a description of what I think the character looks like, and they'll just be
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I sometimes get nervous, like I overdo it.
Trusting the reader is hard. Like that's a big lesson people have to learn because every time you're like in the beginning when you're a writer, you get told, I don't know what this means. What the heck are you trying to say here? Like it's not coming across clearly. And so
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like you overdo it. You go, okay, now I'm going to explain everything to you. Make sure you totally understand this character is sad right now. I'm going to do that by making them cry in tears for 3 pages or something like that.
Hmm.
And almost have to like learn, okay, you got it to me the first time. Now, like you don't have to say it again. You don't have to repeat yourself. That's kind of that's a phase writers go through, at least from what I've seen. And it's very hard to get out.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, not a hassle, but it's just kind of you know, yeah, writing can be hard. Believe it or not.
Writing can be hard.
Some people might like, oh, what's so hard about it? You're just kind of sitting around typing. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a bit more than that. You're putting
It's as
you're
hard
putting
as you want it to be, man.
you're putting a piece of yourself into the page.
Writing's super easy, man. If you want to be, mid, if you want to be ass, like, writing's super easy, bro. I could just write a story right now for you. It takes no time at all. If you want it to be really good, it's the same with it's the same with any sort of creative project. You
It's a
can
skill.
release. It's a skill, and you set your own expectations. If you want your YouTube video to be amazing, you're going to have to put in more time and effort than a average YouTube video would be. It's just how it kind of is. That's the cost. The cost to be the boss,
Hmm.
and it's definitely a lesson you have to learn in writing a ton because that shit takes a long time. And then after 2 years, you decide I'm restarting this book, and so you do it all over again.
Yeah, I tried to avoid that as much as possible because I've had friends that are like, well, we were starting writing, and then we're like, this is book 2. We'll have to go back. And I'm like, I
Mm,
don't want to do that.
mm,
Because admittedly, I can
smart.
be kind of lazy, Like, I don't want to do too much work. Like, I'll put in the
Oh,
work.
I'm a lazy motherfucker, dude. Like I
I,
totally understand.
yeah,
Like
so I'm preaching to the choir. Yeah, okay. It's like,
absolutely. Like
because I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is the first one. You know, Maybe some people will be like, oh, what's the backstory of this guy? And I'll be like, sorry.
sorry, bro. I love that when the author knows like far less than the fans do about their own work. Like the fans like, oh yeah, this thing definitely means this thing, right? And the author's like, bro, I wrote that like on a Sunday. Like they're like this guy's eye, when he looks at this dude, that's my next theory for how this plays out. And they're like, man, how
That
smart do
means
you think I
he's
am?
that guy's son. You're like,
Yeah,
what?
and you just got to be like,
Rad, bro.
you got that. I think you're onto something. You know what I mean? And then
And then later
keeps
you're
them
talking with your
guessing.
friends. He's like, he was off his rocker, bro.
I wrote. I don't even remember the scene he's talking about. That's the funniest one. Like, did I say that? Like,
No, it was funny. It kind of reminds me. I was talking with my dad once because one of my favorite horror movies is The Thing. You know, I was telling my dad, I was like, God, like how do you do all this stuff? And then he just kind of looked at me and he went, you know, if you walked up to John Carpenter right now and you asked him all this stuff, you know what he would ask? I'd be like, what? He's like, well, did the movie entertain you? I would be like, well, yeah. And he's like, that's it.
yeah.
And then he's like, I
about
did my
anything
job, you
first.
know. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what he said, but it's basically that gist. He's basically trying to
It's
tell me
it's
not to
always
overthink things.
yeah. I mean, there's like a good quality of overthinking, I suppose, but if it's about the right things, you know, like when I write something down, right? It might sound arrogant, but I'm like, this is sweet. Like when I think of a story idea, I'm like, this is amazing. This is like the best in the genre. People were going to love this. And so when someone criticizes it, I'm typically like, okay, buddy. Like, you know, I'm pretty certain I'm amazing. And then, but you have to have the secondary option that where you always go, but I'm so amazing, I could always do better as well. You know what I mean? Like I'm like this is surely not my potential. You know, I could be way better than this. And so you just kind of have to have that. You have to big yourself up
You
a
don't want to
little
be
bit,
that
but
guy who's like,
also,
hey, your book from like 10 years ago was great, you know?
oh yeah, your debut novel was so good. Haven't reached that point yet, but you know, haven't gotten any better than that. But man, that's what I'm worried about because I've put in 6 years into this debut novel. I've rewritten it twice already, like full front to back. And this
Well,
is my third
geez.
time doing it, and it's the last one. And it's like 400,000 words, right? So it's taken me a ton of time. And I'm so nervous because I've put so much time in it that it's going to be like my best book. And like I'll have like a great debut, and then like I'll never have the time to do another good sequel or something like that. So definitely a risk.
Yeah, you know, it's a process, is what people like to say. And it annoys the shit out of me, but it's true.
Mm. Do you write like every day? Are you like scheduled like that, or are you more just like when you have the time to do it sort of deal? I guess with
Well,
college,
since college, it's kind of been thrown out of whack. But when I wrote the first book, I basically put a time every evening, and I would type as much as I could, and then I would stop.
mm.
Because it's
was
weird.
that was
I don't really consider myself like a discovery writer like I tried like majorly plotting, and I'm just like, this is not going anywhere. I'm never gonna get anything done if I do it like this. So I just kind of.
right? Yeah,
But generally, how I write is I have to think of a very solid beginning point, a very solid ending point, and then I just kind of go from there. And basically, whatever is in the middle is whatever is in the middle.
yeah.
I
Get
just
A
kind of
to
roll with it.
point A to point B sort of
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. Um, mine is really alternative, my style, and like how do I get to the story? Because everyone tells you not to start with themes, right?
Uh
Like, you
huh.
know, start with a good hook or a good something like that. I always start with themes. Themes are the first thing I think about. I think about what do I want this book to do? How do I want it to change people's behavior? What do I want it to talk about, right? And then from there, I find it's really easy to create a story that makes sense and is cohesive because you just go, oh, like let's write a story about AI and how it can manipulate people. Okay, what's a story that I can have from here? Well, I can have a guy who's like some depressed loner in his basement and he talks to ChatGPT or something like that. And then like it like causes like some massive big problem and it's all about how this AI manipulates him and like comes to life or something like that. Like I could just
It
come up
like
with a story like
manipulates him
that.
into like committing a mass shooting or something.
Like that's a story, right? In that idea, and I came up with it in like 2 seconds, right? Because to me, if I start with an idea, then I can just work my way down. And I go, okay, well, what setting would work well for this?
Hmm.
Oh, well, it's AI, you know, it's AI manipulation. What if the government was taken over by AI? It was like run by AI as well. So we're living in this kind of cyberpunk pseudo dystopia. Like this is like I just came up with that right now, right? And
Hmm.
it's not like a brilliant idea, but it's at least the beginnings of a story. And so don't listen to people who say ideas are like the best thing ever because it takes 2 seconds to come up with an idea, like at least to me. But
Like a reanimated gerbil. I don't know.
yeah, it's a, It's something that I would do. Like, I'd get my roommate when I was in university, right? And I'd be like, "Give me 3 things. Like, give me a character, give me something about the world, like a problem in the world, and give me a setting, and I'll, like, try to cram it with a story with it," right? Which is,
Uh-huh.
like, the nerdiest fucking game I've ever heard in my life. But I would do it as, like, practicing. And, like, there are ones where, you come up with that and you're like, "Damn, that's actually kind of a good idea. Like, I should probably write that one day." And it just gets you out of the mentality of this one idea is like
This is
my
my
treasure, you
magnum
know what I mean?
opus, you know.
This is my magnum opus. Like, books are books, man. You can write your best book will probably be the one that you focused like 20% of the time on. Just, you know, and
And it's like, oh man, that
yeah.
book about gerbils that really moved me. You know, you're like, I just wrote
Holy
that for
shit, dude.
fun.
Your other 400,000 word fantasy book over there, that was like completely shit. But this one, you wrote on a
Well,
weekend? This is
well,
amazing,
I
dude.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just wrote that for
Yeah.
shits and giggles, man. Glad you
Yeah.
felt that way.
You're like, "Oh, right, that one. I don't even remember it, but I
That's
guess I
funny.
must
A
have
friend of
released
mine
it."
who's
Yeah.
I had a guy on here who's a indie writer. His name's Daniel Mayer. We were kind of joking about doing like grimdark cat fantasy novels, where it's
Yeah.
basically like cats like doing the old grimdark. You know, they're scheming and murdering each other and all that. And I'm like, we were having real fun with it. I'm like, I kind of want to do that now. Like, kind of
It's
ironically,
like Watership Down, but like grimdark fantasy, you
yeah,
know?
with cats.
It's like Redwall, but like for cats, and it's like Game of Thrones or some shit. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah, that would be
So, good
great.
idea. Like, you know how unique that would be? Like, imagine describing that to a reader, like being like, "Hey, man, you've read all these like other fantasies. Come check out mine. It's about cats, by the way, and
I know,
it's
like
about
that sounds
cats killing the
awesome. Like
shit
I
out of
kind
each
of want to
other.
do it, you know, like just to.
Like,
I'm
it's
sure someone's
that's
done it.
sweet.
Like I remember one day I came up with this idea of like doing like a cozy fantasy with a necromancer or something, and then there was someone on Twitter who was like, "Oh yeah, Andy Peliquin already did that," and I was like, "Shit."
Yeah. I don't know, man. I am of the firm belief that as an author, it is your right to steal things. Like,
Yeah,
that
no,
is
I
what the
know.
best
It was
authors
kind
do.
of no, it was just kind of disappointing
Yeah.
because I thought I was onto something, and then someone else did it, and you're dang it, you know.
None of my books are always like, I'm gonna write, you know, what if fantasy was like dark instead of light? Whoa, like something
What
like
if the
that. I remember,
But
yeah.
dark? You know, you're like, oh,
Yeah, basically, the Silmarillion, but written not in 300 pages, basically. Uh, and I remember when I was like 7, right? And I had barely read anything. Like, I don't think I wasn't a reader until I was like 14. And I was writing fantasy books at 7 years old. And the first thing I think to myself, I was like, whoa, what if there was a farmer who's the hero?
oh.
Hold up. Hold up, guys.
I think you're
And I
on to
was like,
something.
I was a farmer, right? And I thought, this is what fantasy needs more of. Like, man, like we are on to something. Turns out that's pretty popular. Okay, figure that one out.
I see now where
Second
the
thing,
chosen one video came from. You're
absolutely.
going back to
I
your
was young.
roots.
I was hurting my younger self there, being like, you invented nothing. And
I think you'll like the
and
Adan
the
trilogy then, because
yeah.
not it doesn't have a farmer, but there's like a little end joke at the very beginning with the farmer kid.
Mm,
Yeah, it's real good.
my second thing that I came up with when I was like 14, right, was I was thinking to myself, because I was into like writing challenges into my books. Like, how could I challenge myself with this book? And I thought, how do I make a wedding turn into something really intense and scary? And then I watched Game of Thrones, and I was like, damn it, like this is the whole like thing.
Oh
And
no,
I'm
yeah.
like the most iconic scene in the fantasy genre just happens to be like the one I thought was gonna be my thing. So, you think you're ahead. Unfortunately, there's like 200 years of fantasy before you, so
I mean, I know
things have
like
been
Puss in
done.
Boots is a thing, but man, those the Grimdark Cats would be fun. I kind of damn, I kind of
Grimdark
want to do
Cats
that
is
now.
is sweet. That's a gold mine idea. You shouldn't have told me about that.
I know,
Like,
right?
because
I'm just like, oh man.
like I'm typing with my toes right now, like Brandon Sanderson does. Um,
Yeah, we
yeah,
just have like the rival Grimdark Cat books come out.
the It should be like you should make it like as serious as possible. Like they're cats for no reason. Like it's like a normal book, but they just happen to be cats,
Yeah.
and you don't even mention it. It's just like they just are cats for like no reason, and it's like super intense, super
Yeah,
taken
and just have like
seriously.
and they're just like domestic cats and just like like they're just with their humans and they're like, oh, look at what they're doing. They're just like and they're like scheming
Yeah,
about.
it's like it just write Game of Thrones, but instead of people, they're cats,
Yeah.
and then don't make that a part of the plot. Like just have it as a background noise. Now, when you're imagining it, they're just cats. So
Yeah, it would be
I
just
wrote
it's genius.
I wrote this stupid idea for a book that was you know how like every kid has like teddy bears, right?
Uh-huh.
And like stuff like that. And I thought, okay, like this was back when I was writing comic books, so I was quite young. But I would write comic books about these genetically engineered babies that were like ways more intelligent, just sci-fi nonsense. But I thought a cool idea would be for a story to be about the teddy bears of this child who end up saving the world from like these very cosmic, like massive problems, while this
Wait,
kid
are the
is like
babies
basically
the
just
cosmic beings?
well, like the babies are just like smart or whatever, right? But
Oh.
the teddy bears, they're the ones who undercover. You know, the baby doesn't think that these things are like moving at all. They're just teddy bears. But in secret, they save the world from like gods or something like that. And then they have to return home at night before the baby wakes up, so they can like, uh, so it can wake up and see him there. It's like Toy Story, but
Yeah.
like for teddy bears. And it's just stupid ideas, man. Like they're terrible ideas, but you can really come up with anything for a story. And as long as you're a good enough writer, you can do it. So why not challenge yourself with some medieval cats who are doing grimdark? And so, like they should be Shakespearean. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
should talk in a really elegant, like a hyper serious way.
Yeah, that'll be good. And they're like,
Yeah,
ooh, milk. And
that'd
they
be quite
start like
funny.
drinking the milk.
It's like blood. It's like really like it's like wine for them or something like that. You know, it's like a high delicacy. And that would be super
It's like,
funny,
oh
man.
yes,
That'd be a good
let's
book.
have milk. Delicious.
Like they're sitting there like sharpening their claws a little bit like it's swords. Like they don't have swords, right? They just have claws.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It's fantastic.
Man, we should collaborate on this book together. We should
Oh
write this
man,
one
I need to get
together.
Daniel in on this.
That would be sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Every week we come up with a new chapter or something.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, but yeah, no, it was fun to talk about though. I'm like, oh man, that might be fun. But yeah, no, it's yeah, no, there's always those weird ideas you come up with. You're like, okay, whatever.
Throw it in the drawer, you know.
Maybe
Sometime
I'll
maybe.
keep it in the back burner.
Yeah. I got too many ideas, not enough time, you know.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, especially when each book takes 6 years to write. Kind of unfortunate.
I mean,
But
it took me 6 months to write the first draft, and now it's been almost 3 years. So,
that's pretty good pace, to be honest. 6 months though, like for 90,000 words, it's not
well,
too
yeah,
bad.
it was one of those. I'm like, I have to complete this if it depends. My life depends on it, basically. At this point, if I
Yeah,
don't complete it now, I'll
yeah.
never do it. So,
I think I finished mine 385,000 words in a year and 6 months in totality,
all right.
which like that's there's too much writing, man. Like that was all I was doing every single day, and so a year of my life gone. And then at the end of it, you know, genius I am, I decide let's just restart that. Let's just not. Let's just do that all over again. And so that's
It's like
currently where
the
we
it's
are
like
right now.
it's like the myth of Sisyphus. You're just pushing the boulder up and then just falls down again. You're like, damn.
There's something sick in me, man, that just likes the chase. You know, doesn't like the end product. Um, but that's where we are right now. So I'm getting ready to start the third draft. So
Well, that's good. I'm
so
I'm still on like two. I'm like draft 2.5, I guess, if you want to call
hmm.
it that. I don't know where I'm. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about like seven drafts. Like seven drafts. What is in each draft? You know, how do they
Yeah,
do
no,
that?
I can't do
Um,
that. Like one of my favorite writers is Cormac McCarthy, and I've heard tell that like he wrote Suttree over a period of of like 20 years, and he had like 14 drafts. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just like,
Blood
sorry.
Meridian, I'm pretty certain, right? Blood Meridian was like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, that as
And
well. And I don't know how many
it's not a
drafts
very
that was.
long book either. Like, when something takes me a long time, it's because it's super duper long. And
Uh
it just takes me a long time to write it down. But
Yeah, it's always weird when those authors could just crank out like 1,000-page tomes. I'm like, dude, like how is that even possible?
I think we should get out of the mentality of writing one book per year, especially if we're big epic fantasy writers, because your books are not going to be as good as the guy who takes a couple years to write a book. I just think like 99% of the time. Um, and even someone like Stephen King or Sanderson, they have great books in their catalog, but typically that's just because of the odds. If you write 40 books, you're probably going to have 20 duds, and then 3 of them are going to be amazing, and people remember the 3 of them, you know? Like Stephen King has more misses than he does hits a lot of the time, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
I won't say. Though Dark.
Are you not a big Stephen King fan, or are
No,
you?
I really like a lot of Stephen King stuff. I mean, The Dark Tower is one of my favorite fantasy series. So I mean, there you go. Because of just how wonderfully batshit insane it is.
Yeah.
And also, like, I've never really seen. I'm sure there's going to be some like fantasy nerds if they've gotten this far who'll go like, "Well, this book does the thing," but I've never really seen like a mainstream like fantasy series like tackle Americana in a serious way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like it's a western, but it's kind of like it's like King Arthur, but it's a bunch of gunslingers, and it's very rooted in Americana. I haven't seen that before.
Came out in like what, 80s, 70s even? Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like
And
he
some of the
started it when he
books,
was really young, and he finished it in like 2006, I think. So
like man, Shannara was coming out at that point. Like, you
yeah,
want to talk about originality? Like that's like peak of it, right? And so yeah, I just think, no offense to Stephen King because I think he's like the goat or whatever, right? But like he does have a lot of misses.
well,
There
yeah,
is
yeah.
books in his catalog that are just not as good.
I mean,
Um,
Tommy
and
Knockers
I
is just horrific.
absolutely, and it's like it's because like I don't want to. He's more successful than me, so listen to him, before you listen to me. But it's because he writes so many books that he has a lot of misses, and
Hmm.
that I think if he took his time and for every 2 books he released, only released one, he'd probably have a way higher average, of just quality. Because, like, imagine Stephen King taking 10 years to write a book. Like, imagine him really focused on making this one book amazing. It'd be his best book. Like, I'd bet money on it. Because the more time you put into it, the better it's going to be, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't really think like one way works, but I mean, whatever worked for you, I guess.
I'm thinking about the math mostly. I'm thinking
Oh
about like,
well,
okay,
yeah,
on like on a out of 100 people, right? If you took 2 years to write a book instead of 6 months, I'm going to bet, just on my ideas here, that it'd be a better book. But then again, a lot of people do it a different way, and I'm probably just coping because it takes me 6 years to write one. So telling
yeah, just
everyone, hey,
massive, just massive cope.
stop releasing books. Yeah.
Yeah, we yeah the whole grind mindset has kind of damaged a lot of authors, I think.
Fair. Yeah. A lot of people like, I would like nothing more than to work on my book, like every day. Like that's just kind of my thing. But a lot of people don't want to do that. So I can understand.
Yeah, I mean, wherever the muse leads you, I guess.
Mm, yeah. I definitely think um, starting this channel, though, is definitely going to be a big help because I'm constantly looking at these books. I'm constantly critiquing them in a more serious effort, and reading good books is the best way to improve your skills. So,
Just, yeah, it's yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from,
yeah.
but
So when's the publication date? Give me it now.
hopefully sometime in like late 2026. That's hope. I don't want to say any. I don't want to say any more than that.
I'll put it on the massive reading list, and I'll get to it in 5 years.
Be like
So
Britton's
yeah.
book.
Yeah, 2026. That's coming. Very soon. I promise.
Yeah, yeah,
Only about 500 books in between that, but
yeah. Yeah.
we'll get there.
It's all right.
I hope so. It'd be good to do. But
Yeah, it's a grind. I'll say that.
Well, sir. Well, I don't know how long these things go for. I don't know what the planned schedule is.
I mean, it goes on. I mean, these go on for as long as. Well, I generally try to. The longest I'll go is like 2 hours or like 2.5 hours if the conversation's really good. But
I think we're at, what is it now?
it's been like an hour and a half, a little more.
An hour and a half. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's totally up to you. Because
I mean, we can end it here if it's all good. I don't really mind.
Hopefully, we'll be back on eventually, maybe. And
probably
maybe get you on my channel. So
yeah, be like, oh, I read this book. What'd you think of it? I'm like, oh, this is good, or maybe this sucks. I don't know.
Yeah, you read one of the books, like, in the future or something. That we can talk about Blood in the Mist maybe when I get around to that. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. I actually have a friend. It's his favorite fantasy novel. I've been trying to get him to. I was gonna talk about it with him, and just haven't come together yet. Because I was like, "Oh, are you gonna reread it?" And he's like, "No, haven't felt the mood for it yet." And I'm like, "Damn." So yeah.
Your favorite fantasy? Haven't felt the mood to read it. Wow.
Yeah, well,
that's a base take though. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I can't argue with that. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, man, I gotta go. So
all right, well,
thanks
for coming on, man. This was fun.
Yeah, it's great, man. Thanks for reaching out and everything.
Yeah. But as I like to do before I end these things, if you have any social media, feel free to share it.
Oh yes, all the plugins. I got a YouTube channel called the Everyman Reads, where I discuss fantasy, and I'm currently trying to read every single fantasy book in chronological order, as my tagline.
Good luck, man.
I have
crazy.
We'll see if I get there. I have a Goodreads as well, which is called the exact same thing. You can find the link like in my channel.
You're gonna read like the most recent thing, and then you'll make a video being like, "I have read them all."
Yeah, I just make the first one, skip a week, read the latest one, and be like, "Yeah, I read them all, guys. They're all pretty good." Yeah, but that's kind of the mission statement of the channel. So if you want to join that, if you like hearing my voice for some ungodly reason, I talk a lot on that channel. So that's where you can find me. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation. I definitely did. And, well, like I said, it's probably going to be my last, at least one I'm going to record in 2026 because, Christmas is around the corner and you know how that goes.
Right.
People are busy during that time.
Do you have a Christmas Day stream, like unboxing?
I don't know yet.
Your presents?
But anyway, well, until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed and, well, see you guys later. So there we go. Yeah.